Lewis Hamilton, a titan of the sport, didn't just critique Ferrari's SF25 car, he utterly dismantled it with words, leaving no room for diplomatic pleasantries. His assessment was a brutal, unfiltered condemnation, painting a vivid picture of a machine that had fundamentally lost its way. Hamilton described the car as an unpredictable beast, inherently unstable and utterly incapable of responding to the nuanced demands of the track. This wasn't a gentle suggestion for improvement. It was a direct broadside, a verbal assault that undoubtedly reverberated through the hallowed halls of Maranello, striking a deep blow to the team's already fragile morale. The severity of his words found immediate external validation, with even competitors like Pierre Gasly observing that the Ferrari looks very bad from the outside, a stark visual confirmation of its struggles. Hamilton's frustration was palpable, his usual composure giving way to a biting, almost acidic humour that betrayed a champion's deep loss of patience with a car that simply refused to cooperate. The pre-race period had been nothing short of a disaster for Ferrari, a desperate scramble to salvage performance. The team, relying heavily on simulator data, had attempted a series of radical, almost experimental changes to the SF25 before the main event. Hamilton recounted these adjustments with a mix of disbelief and horror, stating that they had effectively transformed the car into an untamed, wild animal. The consequences were immediate and catastrophic. Total rear instability became the dominant characteristic, leading to sudden, terrifying losses of control. Adding to the chaos was an unexpected and severe level of bouncing, a phenomenon that should have been long rectified. The champion's alarm was evident as he described how the car would jump violently at turn 10, a crucial part of the circuit, as if it were misaligned from the factory, a damning indictment of its fundamental construction and setup. Hamilton delved deeper into the technical abyss, detailing a litany of problems that plagued the SF25. He spoke of an absolute lack of stability, a rear end that felt perpetually loose, and a front that would escape mid-corner, defying driver input. What made the situation particularly maddening was the car's inconsistent behavior across different speed ranges. It handled completely differently at low, medium, and high speeds, making it impossible to find a consistent rhythm or setup. His diagnosis was grim. This wasn't a single fixable problem, but rather a broken set of interconnected components, a fundamental flaw in the car's entire architecture. The contradictory responses from the car and its utterly unpredictable behavior on track served as a clear indicator that Ferrari, at its core, simply did not understand the root cause of its own vehicle's issues. Adding weight to Hamilton's scathing assessment, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's own star driver, corroborated every single one of his frustrations. The Monegasque driver, usually more reserved, couldn't hide his dismay, stating unequivocally that the car had simply worsened overnight between qualifying and the sprint race. The unexplained change in feel was immediate and terrifying. He nearly lost control on the very first lap, grappling with a machine that felt alien and unpredictable. Leclerc recounted losing positions rapidly, a helpless feeling as if he were driving a car from another category, a stark contrast to the competitive machinery he expected from Ferrari. The dream of challenging at the front evaporated into a nightmare of struggle and confusion, leaving both drivers utterly bewildered and the team in disarray. As the dust settled on a truly chaotic race weekend, the focus immediately shifted from the track to the pit lane, specifically to the McLaren garage. Andrea Stella, the team principal, found himself under intense scrutiny, cornered by reporters eager to dissect a decision that had baffled many. The explosive topic on everyone's lips: team orders. More precisely, the looming question of whether Oscar Piastri would be instructed to aid his teammate Lando Norris in the upcoming Abu Dhabi Championship decider. The stakes couldn't be higher, with a double title opportunity, an almost mythical achievement for McLaren, not seen in 27 years, hanging precariously in the balance. Stella's response when it finally came was nothing short of astonishing. His voice, usually so measured, carried a surprising firmness as he declared unequivocally that no team orders would be issued. This wasn't merely a strategic blunder, it was a decision that reverberated with significant psychological impact throughout the Woking outfit. The perfect scenario had presented itself. Piastri, often showing flashes of raw, blistering pace, consistently faster than many expected, while Norris demonstrated a remarkable consistency, and crucially, their primary rivals seemed to be struggling with their own internal demons and technical woes. Yet, this golden opportunity, a chance to truly cement their resurgence and cap off an incredible season, tragically evaporated. The pivotal moment arrived during the safety car period, a critical juncture where a swift, decisive call could have changed everything. Instead, the team opted to keep both cars on track, a choice that, in hindsight, proved to be a fatal miscalculation, sacrificing a potential championship for an abstract notion of fairness. The immediate aftermath saw Stella and CEO Zak Brown visibly shaken, their faces etched with a mixture of disbelief and profound disappointment. They were unable to give the usual immediate post-race interviews, retreating from the media scrum, leaving the paddock to buzz with speculation. It was a stark image, painting a picture of a team grappling with the weight of a monumental misstep. Meanwhile, observing all of this with the cold, calculating gaze of a predator was Max Verstappen. The reigning champion, ever alert to the slightest crack in his rival's armour, had keenly watched McLaren's strategy unfold. His post-race comments, delivered with that characteristic, almost imperceptible smirk, contained a coded warning. When asked about McLaren's approach, he simply called their strategy interesting. It was a single word yet laden with implication, a subtle yet potent jab that signalled he had not only identified their weakness, but was already plotting how to exploit it to his full advantage. The reasoning behind McLaren's fateful decision, Stella later attempted to clarify, revolved around the dreaded double stack scenario. A pit stop for both cars during the safety car period would have inevitably meant Piastri, running ahead, would have had to wait for Norris to finish his stop, pushing him back significantly and costing precious track position. Conversely, pulling Norris in first would have compromised Piastri's race, creating an internal conflict the team desperately wanted to avoid. In their earnest, perhaps naive attempt to be fair and protect both drivers equally, McLaren inadvertently led themselves into a strategic trap. The team, in that critical moment, prioritized an admirable but ultimately detrimental sense of internal parity over a potentially race-winning or even championship-winning strategy. They chose to preserve team harmony at the cost of seizing a golden opportunity, a decision that would haunt them as the championship battle tightened. Now, looking ahead to the final race in Abu Dhabi, Stella's direct confirmation echoed through the paddock. There would be no instructions to sacrifice one driver for the other. Norris and Piastri would be allowed to race each other directly, on equal terms, a testament to the team's unwavering commitment to their internal principles. This decision, however noble in its intent, stood in stark contrast to the brutal reality of the championship fight. Max Verstappen, a driver renowned for his ruthless efficiency and ability to capitalize on the smallest missteps, was now a mere 12 points behind, ready to pounce on any opportunity presented. McLaren, it seemed, was willing to risk the ultimate prize, a potential championship loss, for the sake of internal parity and a perceived fairness between their two drivers. It was a high-stakes gamble, one that could either define their integrity or condemn them to a season of what-ifs, leaving fans and pundits alike to wonder if their commitment to fairness had ultimately cost them everything. Gabriel Bortoleto's Qatar experience, while a brutal learning laboratory, felt destined not to happen in any meaningful competitive sense. Starting from 19th, he fought to finish 13th, a result that, despite showing progress, left him deeply frustrated. The race's extreme predictability was a key takeaway. Every team, every driver, locked into identical strategies. This monotony prevented testing limits or making different moves, stifling creative driving and turning the Grand Prix into attrition rather than innovation. His frustration was compounded by an inherited penalty from Las Vegas, a shadow cast over his weekend before it even began. This unjust sanction destroyed his potential to start 14th and fight for crucial points. He watched as drivers like Kit Tsunoda, starting precisely where Bortoleto felt he deserved, capitalized and scored valuable points, underscoring the cruel impact of an uncontrollable penalty. The race served as a stark reminder of how external factors can dictate a driver's fate. regardless of skill or determination. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen delivered another masterclass in dominance, winning Qatar and simultaneously exposing McLaren's strategic fragility with predatory precision. His post-race live interview quickly transformed into a calculated show of psychological provocation, a subtle yet potent display of his unwavering intent. Zak Brown, McLaren's CEO, had previously attempted to inject some psychological pressure, likening Verstappen to a horror film character. But Verstappen, with his innate understanding of the mental game, simply embraced the villain role, a wry grin playing on his lips, signaling to the entire paddock that he had absolutely no intention of letting the championship slip through his fingers. His confident "call me Chuck" comment, a direct nod to Brown's earlier remarks, conveyed not just defiance but an almost chilling certainty in his own superiority. A man utterly comfortable in his skin and his position atop the racing world. He was a force of nature, unbothered by external noise, singularly focused on the prize. McLaren, in a move that will surely haunt their strategists for seasons to come, effectively handed the race to Verstappen due to their improvised and ultimately flawed strategy. Verstappen, a seasoned veteran in exploiting such moments of hesitation, practically smelled the opportunity the instant the safety car was deployed. Red Bull's pit wall reacted with lightning speed and decisive action, while McLaren's decision-making process seemed to stall, a critical difference in race reading that proved to be their undoing. The Woking-based team had a genuine chance to influence, if not outright decide, the championship with Oscar Piastri's blistering pace and Lando Norris's consistent championship-contending car. Yet they erred precisely where Verstappen consistently excels, in the high-stakes arena of live race strategy and the intuitive reading of unfolding events. Verstappen's subtly delivered post-race comment, "We made the right call," was not just a statement of fact, but a thinly veiled, almost polite jab at his rivals, a quiet confirmation of their strategic misstep. He was a chess master, always several moves ahead. The relentless tyre wear that had plagued Lando Norris throughout the race, eroding his performance and confidence, inadvertently became the perfect ammunition for Max Verstappen. With clinical efficiency, Verstappen maintained absolute control, expertly managing the distance to his rivals, optimizing his pit window, and showcasing a combination of mental fortitude and technical prowess for a grueling 25 laps. Lando Norris still technically held the championship lead, but the Qatar result had undeniably left him feeling surrounded, his comfortable buffer significantly diminished. Oscar Piastri, despite his raw speed, seemed to lose strength at the most critical juncture, unable to fully capitalize on his potential. In Qatar, with a mixture of his own brilliance and McLaren's miscalculations, Max Verstappen had successfully put the championship back in full combustion, reigniting the title fight into a blazing inferno that promised a thrilling, unpredictable conclusion. The final chapters were yet to be written, but the narrative had dramatically shifted.